How you doing, my friend? Who you got there?
I got the kids. I got James here with me.
That's awesome. What's up, James? How you guys? How you guys holding up there? You guys keeping busy?
Yeah, I mean, every day we got a handful. There's 5 of us, and I have 5 kids, 2 adults, some grandparents.
Trying to play teacher, trying to keep them all, and making sure that they're following all the school regimens and everything like that.
yeah, kinda, but right for the first month they kind of just relaxed, but now with all this not knowing, we got to start our teaching.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. That's great of you, Tumble. I tell you what, it's a pleasure to have you joining us here, my friend. I just kind of want to start with the music side of things for you, because you came out with your album Tamba Juice back in 2018. Great stuff. We had Dwayne Money Bo on our show a couple months ago and talking about his work. So what's next for you as far as music? And have you thought about collaborating with Money Bo? It just seems too perfect.
As far as music, I've already created 2 compilations. One in regards to the diaspora, Liberia. There's a lot going on over there, and I've been going back. So trying to raise awareness about education, STEM program. And they don't know much about football, so they really didn't know too much about me. But ever since I've been doing music, it's starting to resonate with those people. So I collabed with maybe 4 or 5 different artists in Liberia. And prior to this onset, we were going to release the compilation, but it'll be stupid to release it because there's no movement. Everyone is home just listening. So we're going to release, songs one by one. It's called Relume Records Presents Liberia. I'm featured on every song, with different artists, Faithphonic, Christoph the Change, Pills, Gina. Wow. Yeah, a bunch of different acts in Liberia. And then I have another compilation just on myself. It's called Love and Lights. I'm doing some singing, some rapping, some sounding like Drake. You guys love. So I'm doing all of that just to kind of show that I can do those things musically. Dwayne, we're cool. We do similar style, but there's a huge gap. He's really urban, into that style of life. I'm like, maybe not really because of the, it's too much. I got a whole family that has to kind of look towards me, and I cannot portray the style of image that's in that light. But again, I still can put my music around what they're doing just because I like the sound that they're projecting.
Well, Clint mentioned it there. We talked to Money Bo, and he did say that you guys had at least some talks about collaborating on maybe a Chiefs anthem for the kingdom kind of in the future. I don't know what your thoughts are on that, if you guys have made any hay on that.
So far, we haven't done much discussion in regards to just making music or doing an anthem. It would be great. If Dwayne and I can actually put some real truth behind the message, if we do a song and it resonate with the kingdom. So, music is not easy. It takes time.
No.
You guys know it's not easy. But it would be good. I think Dwayne used to come and freestyle in my studio all the time. At one point he enjoyed doing it, but he wasn't a writer. I always wrote, and now he's, full-fledged going for it. I just had to grow up from it in the sense of, when I was young, we wanted to all be, Lil Wayne or Jay-Z.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now we're just as old as those guys, and we need to see what music can really be used for instead of how we can project the ego.
Well, Tamba, you've been out of the game now for 3 years. You last played for the Chiefs in 2017, and the Chiefs win their first Super Bowl here this year. What was kind of your thoughts about that? So many of your former teammates, you guys helped lay the groundwork for this thing. Justin Houston, Eric Berry, Derek Johnson, Jamal Charles, so many of you guys laid the groundwork, and then it comes to fruition with the Super Bowl championship. Was there some kind of resentment, any bitterness, or was it just like, hey, all hail the Chiefs, this was huge for the kingdom? What was it for you?
Huge for the kingdom. My family and I, we enjoyed going down to South Beach, spent a lot of money that we all actually made games, including James. Yeah, I mean, it was the experience, sharing it with my family, I think was more gratifying because there's so much pressure when you're playing and you're on the field that it's bittersweet. I want to be playing and getting the Super Bowl ring, but in the same sense, I'm appreciative that I was part of an organization, or at least an establishment, of bringing the Super Bowl to fruition. And a ring is almost like an offering, but the work the guys put in is more like the ring, and I feel like I'm part of that ring. And I don't need to go. I don't even wear rings. My finger doesn't straight. But I'm really happy that they did, because we've had so many great teams come and go, so many great teams just come and go, and for whatever it's worth, to have a coach like Andy who's able to win with anyone on the field, it just tells you, where the organization sits at this time.
Well, Tamba, you should definitely feel a part of this Super Bowl. You did so much here in your time in Kansas City, like you said, helped build the foundation to where we are today. And you're second in sacks in Chiefs history, only behind Derek Thomas. What does that mean to you?
It's an honor to even think that I was able to do something like this. I was projected to only be in the league 3 years, and even the doctors like, oh, he got bad knees, he won't even be able to last. And looking back at it, to even know that people will remember that I'm sitting second. And people will say, Tom, but you really don't understand it, because it may take another 10, 15 years for another guy to maybe able to do that. And, I take it for granted because a lot of great players come and go, but it's special to know that I'm sitting in that position, and I'm a young man to just know that I did that, and it feels good. I mean, it feels good, but it's surreal because I don't know how to attach it to anything,
Yeah.
Well, you came in, Dick Vermeil's the coach, then it's Herm Edwards, and then it's Todd Haley, then it's Romeo Crennel, then it's Andy Reid. I mean, talk about that journey for you, because you're able to remain a steadying force in the Chiefs organization and playing at a Pro Bowl level, no matter kind of who was in charge here. Obviously, Andy Reid takes over and things have been steady since then, but it was a rough go playing for those many coaches. How difficult was that?
It was difficult. The reality is when we lost our Lamar Hunt, when we lost him in 2007, it was a big blow to the organization, and now trying to first establish management, because Carr Peterson was no longer going to be around, and Clark was now in position to establish the franchise, and different coaches. I love Todd Haley, to be honest with you. I love his demeanor. The GM, Scott Pioli, love Scott. Micromanager. It's just understanding these guys. Scott's different than John. So those guys were really tough. They reminded me when I was at Penn State. Joe was not easy on us. Simple little rules, and if you didn't abide, you didn't play. It was almost the same with, wouldn't say Haley, but more with Scott. Haley was back and forth. Someday he'll be happy with you, and you'll think you guys are really cool. Other days he'll be the coach. So you had to kind of know your role with him. But I enjoyed playing for Scott Pioli, Romeo Crennel. I couldn't ask for a better coach at that time, because he loved the players. So long you loved football, he was not going to baby you. He wanted for you to play. It's just, 1 year is not going to turn nothing over, especially in this league and how hard it is. Coach Reid came in and changed the culture immediately, because there was so much doubt in our mind because of so many games we lost that were close. And Coach Reid came, and once we got down, you can see he's not even pressed. It's like, what's wrong, Coach? We're about to lose this game. And we end up winning the game, and it's surprising. And it's like, over time, we started to understand how he wanted to do business wasn't what we was doing. Workouts were hard. Being on time is very important. Being accountable, being available. He made anything that players wanted, you got. So he knew that you should show up on Sunday. If you guys want a rim, you want to shoot balls, sure. Put the rim in the locker room. Or you want video games, you want this, you want that. You got it. So long Sunday came and you realized what was at stake and you played well, coach wouldn't even bother you. He wouldn't. He's so good at it. The hardest part of playing for coach was camp. 8 o'clock in the morning, we're on the field. So if you're one of those guys who like to do the other things, you probably won't make the team. So that was hard. First thing in the morning, we did the hardest thing. And the next hardest thing is his practice are not hard. It's long. Yeah. So you're on the field for 3 hours. It's not like he's, making you, run. It's more like mentally we have to be involved because that's the game. It's an up and down. You just got to be in tune in practice. And it changed the culture immediately. If you couldn't play, he didn't even bother you. He got the next guy in. That was the coach. And it was almost like before, I would be so hurt. And they're like, oh, Tommy, you got to go. I got to take a shot. And I'll go. Coach, if you can't play, coach is like, cool, get well. The next guy, he brought good players around that. If you can't play, you may lose your job because this guy's good. The guy backing him up is just as good. So, coach actually did so much for me. My last year, I was a bit hurt, and I think coach knew my stat as far as playing and practicing. At that time, I don't think I've missed practice, and I've been out games. So, but I was hurt. I was getting hurt in the game, and coach pretty much saw that if he plays this year, he may not be able to walk. Maybe he'll hurt himself because they knew the science behind what was going on. I was just mentally intact. Like, I'm going to play. Every Sunday, I don't care. I'm going to play. So he helped me out. He paid me a lot of money, sat me down, brought me back, played six game, and we still talk to this day. There's no animosity towards this idea. And my family always like, oh, he should have kept you in. You would have, creeped up on 100 sacks. I'm like, bro, I don't care I don't care about sacks today. I'm walking today. I'm playing with my kids today. Who did that for me? Coach. Another coach may have kept plugging it, and I probably wouldn't be walking today. So it's a lot of respect that goes for Coach Reed because he's done it for so long and he knows how to treat the players.
That's great to hear that he did that for you and you have this great quality of life now. And going back to 2006, you're drafted, you come in, your first defensive coordinator, Gunther Cunningham, sadly, he's recently passed away. But what did he do for your game coming in as a rookie?
Gunther was different, very harsh. A very militant way of working. There was no filter the way he went about the business. And I embraced it because it was a new style. I came from Joe. You can't cuss at the players. And when I got there, I started seeing, players cussing at coaches, coaches cussing at players, and I couldn't relate to it. But over time, I realized what my mind was starting to do. These things are supposed to make you do the opposite thing so we can get you out of here. So I kind of peeped game, and at one time I remember Gunther kept putting me in I guess they call it either head up on the tight end. It's a 6 technique, maybe. So I didn't like it because I want to be on the edge coming. And I felt like early in my career, I didn't succeed because of that 6 technique. I'm playing the tight end to the tackle every time. I'm like slow on the ball. And one time, me and him got in a huge argument because he came in a room talking all this linebacker talk. I said, Gunther, just put me on the outside. I bet you will win games. And he cussed me out the whole
Oh, God.
That's Gunther.
Got the whole meeting. All I could do is put my head down and just be sorry, Just pray that I said something.
Oh, wow.
But, Gunther loved me, and I loved him. And his daughter and I, we used to talk all the time as friends.
Well, another guy that certainly helped lay this foundation, and there was recently an E60 on, Alex Smith, who suffered a horrific leg injury, of course, his first year with the Redskins. You played with him for the better part of 4 seasons there in Kansas City. Again, another guy there that helps lay the groundwork that's not there for the Super Bowl win, but he's every bit a part of it as you guys are. Just talk about him as a person and kind of what your thoughts were when you heard about the injury and maybe if you've seen the E60 and kind of what he's overcome. It's insane.
I haven't seen the E60. When I heard it happen, I wasn't happy about it because he's a competitor and he definitely wanted to continue to prove that he can play at this high level and actually win a Super Bowl. One thing I have high respect for Alex, because a lot of guys in his position don't know how to treat that position. They don't know how to go about the business. And Alex was such a professional, regardless if we won or lost. He knew how to conduct himself in the locker room around the guys. He knew how to talk to the guys. He knew what not to say to the guys. You would ask Alex some questions, and he won't answer you because he knows it's not for you to be in this conversation. And, sometimes people in that position would start talking and start saying, oh, we should have won this, we should have did this. And Alex was so good about his role. When we all loved it, and we all felt like, man, he could do better than that. He should do this and do this. But he's a professional. We don't know what's being asked of him. And he handled it so well, and he continued to do it till he got hurt. When I saw he got hurt, and then I saw a snippet of his leg now where, there's I don't know what it is, but yeah, it's hard to look at because, that could be me. And I'm looking at former quarterback that he's a quarterback. He shouldn't hurt his leg like that. And then he's, going through it, but he's a warrior, and he'll get through this one. And this guy is a Hall of Famer, regardless of what people say. In my book, the way he conducted himself, the way he won games, he's able to complete the long passes. He had great players. For whatever it's worth, this is how the cards unfold for majority of the people in the NFL. When I got there, Casey Wegman hadn't been to a playoff game for 15 years. He'd been there maybe one or twice. So, it's hard. This is one of the hardest sports. So, for what it's worth, Alex, he did extraordinary as a player, 3 teams, and I don't know where he sits in stats, but it has to be high. It has to be. The guy, he scored touchdowns. He won big games, So, we're rooting for him. I hope he can make it out. I hope he doesn't play football anymore, though. I hope.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, Tamba, I just want to talk a little bit about your journey, because your life post football has been so prolific, and you've got it seems like just a wonderful family, and you're doing so great. And it's so good to see you there. And your music, the album Tamba Juice, is tremendous. I hope everybody will check that out on Spotify right now. All the listeners need to be downloading it as we speak, as soon as the interview's over. But just talk a little bit about your journey, because growing up in Liberia, you escape at age 10. Your dad is a chemistry professor, and you wind up getting to go to college to play football at Penn State. You become an all Big Ten performer and a first-round draft pick in the NFL. How did all that kind of fall in line for you? Because, it seems like your life path, it was 1,000,000 to 1 that could have happened to you, and yet you put in the determination, put in the work for that. Your family situation, your dad's perseverance getting you guys here to America had to help. Just kind of take us through your journey, man. It's been amazing.
Yeah. I don't mean to offend anyone. I think I would start with my faith. First, I have a strong belief system, and it works, so we'll start with that. We grew up in the church, and my mom is a minister. My stepfather is a minister. He was an ex-Muslim, and he became a minister back 30 years ago, and he did that he's still a minister. But during the war, I can only credit this one to the maker, the creator, because the situations that we were placed in, the odds are against us that we make it out alive, just to make it out alive, not to even be a football player, just to make it out alive. So to flee the country and then get to the Ivory Coast, and then my dad be able to get in contact with my dad, and then my dad have the spirit in him to say, those are my children, not just I had kids. Those are my children. I'm going to do whatever it takes for them to at least get an opportunity and come back and battle in immigration in Abidjan, and then go to Ghana, and then Ghana, finally we did all the testing and they allow us to come. We got to the country. I'm 10 years old. I can't read. I can't write. I'm placed in the 5th grade. So I'm pretty much, humility is right there. I have to stand up in class with another kid who's going to read with me verbatim, because I didn't grow up in the system. I couldn't read a book in the 5th grade. So I'm in ESL, second language, first 4 years, I'm struggling in school. as time went by, we were able to catch on, all the siblings that got here. And I guess one thing that was dynamic was I enjoyed playing sports. So I played basketball, I played soccer. Football was a gift, again, from the creator, because I didn't grow up knowing, Reggie White or Derek Thomas. I'm new to the country, 94. So 2000, I'm in high school, 98. And my gym teacher said, you have to play, because he was the defensive coordinator. He said, you have to play. So I played, and I did well. I actually wasn't going to play the following year because I had just won the free throw contest at Keystone basketball camp in Pennsylvania. So I'm already hyped. Like, I'm about to,
Heck yeah.
You talk about 1,000 guys. I mean, listen, and maybe one. But the coach again, the basketball coach said, no, you're going to play football. You're going to play football. And I remember Mr. Malone saying that to me, and I played. Now it backfired. I didn't play basketball after my sophomore year. I skipped. I'm playing basketball. And my football coach told me, yeah, you don't need to play basketball. There's a risk. Play your senior year, because after you're done, you sign and all of that. Cool. So I didn't play. I played football, and I didn't understand what was going on. I was highly regarded in the state of New Jersey. I just didn't understand what was going on. I didn't know what a scholarship was. I was still understanding the language that I'm speaking at that level and everything that's going on. Like, I didn't know you had to pay to go to school. None of these things are really, you coming from Liberia, this is not life, Fine. I get all these scholarships, over 65 scholarships to go anywhere in the state. I picked Penn State because of Joseph Paterno. I think he was a stand-up guy, and he was very real with the players. He looked at the guys and said, "Hey, listen, if this is not the place for you, you don't need to come." I was recruited by Miami that told me, "Listen, we got gang of guys here. You're gonna redshirt." Even Joe told me, "You're gonna redshirt." Syracuse told me, "We'll play you because Freeney is leaving. We need someone to fill in." So it was between those two. I took a visit all the way to Southern California. That's when Lane Kiffin was just maybe an assistant, and I was considering it, but for some reason it was Joe. Mm-hmm. Joe didn't. When I went on his visit, it was the wackest visit. Like, there was no party for me to be all happy about. It was no, I would take you here, fool you. It was Joe was being very real. I slept in the dorm with the guys. I hung around the players, and I just enjoyed that atmosphere and said, wow, this is how it will be. Fine, I'm going here. School was hard. I won't hide. There was some, I got to credit some of these women that choose to be around these football players. They definitely, my girlfriend at the time definitely helped me with my schoolwork in understanding how things would, go. So, to credit that to her. She was a good soul at the time for me being around. She helped me, but it was hard. I had to still take my tests. We had first dibs on tutors. It was hard. And I don't want to say it came easy. I worked at it, graduated with this broadcast journalism degree, and that's fine. I started out with science, computer science, but it's too tough when you're playing sports and you like girls and too many going on. So I just stuck with the talking thing. And, being drafted, Herm Edwards and Carl Peterson were the two. Herm was probably the only coach that came. I think there were other GMs, but Herm and Carl came to my workout, and they brought me on a visit, and they highly favored me because you was looking at Manny Lawson, who runs a 4.4. I mean, the guy, you remember Manny, he can fly. Yeah. Then you got the big guy. He was the number one pick. I forget his name. 2006 draft. Big guy, big defensive end. Mario Williams, isn't it?
Yes.
So you got those guys. You got Bunkley. You got some really good players coming out in the draft. And for whatever it was worth, I mean, Herm really believed in my talent, as well as Gunther and Crumry. Crumry was my positional coach.
Tim Crumry.
They love my work ethic. And when I got to the Chiefs, another struggle because of all of those different coaches and how to adjust in this program. But the journey it's a learning experience. Obviously, no one wins here. We continue to just progress by learning. And I give it to the Creator that placed me in this position so I can be able to shed some of my light with you guys.
Absolutely. We think that as well. You come in as defensive end. You're with Jared Allen. He gets traded in 2008, and then they switch. Todd Haley comes in 2009, switched to a 3-4, and you're moved outside linebacker. What was that transition like for you?
I was used to it. Being in college, I got there as a DN. They put me at defensive tackle, nose tackle. So I played nose tackle for 2 years. And then after that, coach said, okay, we need to put him at DN. And I played DN. So it was kind of a similar situation, just having to adapt. The hardest part was understanding that I have to cover someone in a way that I never did that before. There's a tree of routes that they're going to run, and I'm just not, I'm not accustomed to it. I struggled with it. But I enjoyed the position because it put me outside of the tight end so I can rush. And it gave me leverage to at least get some sacks. Jared leaving was a blow to me because he was our best pass rusher at the time. I could have only learned more by being around because when he left, you can see how he did when he left the program. He just, skyrocketed. So it was a blow to me. So I had to be a veteran, and that's when everything started going this way because everyone is getting fired, and now the third-year guy is supposed to be the best guy. But it definitely opened my mind into understanding whatever position you're placed in, you just need to embrace it and continue to progress through it because I guess your will is the one that's going to succeed over the fact that you don't know what you're doing. Just rush. Just try to be with the guy. No one knows if you know what you're doing or not. Just, you got to just fool them or act it.
Well, Tamba, one of the last things here before we let you go is got to talk about some of these playoff games you were in. 2015, Rule 14, you guys take on the Indianapolis Colts. There's a big comeback from the Colts. You guys lose 45-44. You guys do get a playoff win against the Houston Texans, 30-0. Then you go on to lose to the Patriots. And then you guys only give up 6 field goals, no touchdowns to the Steelers, but you lose the game. And then Marcus Mariota throws a touchdown pass to himself. Derek Johnson blows up Mariota, but they call it forward progress. What's going on here with some of these losses? It's crazy.
If there's politics in football, then I guess you talked about it all.
I agree.
Because those are devastating losses, especially to the elders. Derek Johnson, me, Dustin, we want to win at this time. We know time is ticking. And then you got a coach like Andy Reid who comes in and we're able to do things like make the playoff, come back, win 6, 7, 8 games in a row and make the playoff after losing 4 or 5 games. I mean, the things we were doing with Andy was just extraordinary. But, again, if there's anything to say about politics in football, let it be said, for us, we knew we enjoyed that time because it was like something we never had. It's like having a new child. We're in the playoff. The world's watching us. We are actually decent football players that now people get to see. So, whatever happened, it happened, but we enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. My knees were shot for that Colts game. But I taped it up, took my shot. Let's go.
I remember you had blood coming off the chin strap all over your jersey. That's crazy.
Yeah, it was fun time. It's fun time. And, for the young guys, I think what they need to take from this is that they don't need to feed into what's going on upstairs with management because the game is bigger than us. And if you start really researching in anything, you'll start understanding, wow, it is really bigger than us. It doesn't even start with a win. It starts with humanity, So when you start looking at that picture, it's like, oh, man, like, go enjoy the game. If you can win, win. If you can get sacks. Whatever they do is up to them. We play.
Well, Tamba, God bless you and your run here. 6 times Pro Bowler, all Big Ten at Penn State. What a career, what a life, what a journey. Before we let you go, last thing, your last year in the league happens to be Patrick Mahomes' rookie year. He comes in, the Chiefs draft him 10 overall. They move up to do it. You were around him probably just for a short amount of time, but what did you see in Patrick Mahomes, and did you kind of foresee that he would sort of take the league and the country by storm the way he has?
Okay, the way he did it, no, I can't say. I knew you had a really good player with you. Just watching him in practice, he never complain. He'd get out there and just enjoy and just have fun. And usually guys are trying to work for the position, like, oh, I got to start. Patrick never had that style of mind. He was in practice and just enjoying himself playing. And I think that's the time I watched more because I wasn't playing, and I'm watching, and I'm like, this kid's good. This kid's good. And then immediately once they release, that year was done, they released me and Alex, everyone was out, and I'm like, that kid's good. Knowing we have Tariq, though, in the back of my head, I'm always like, hey, Tariq, this kid's good. And, but what he's been able to do in the style he did it with Coach, let's not forget Coach again. Coach, having Coach is a key. It's a huge key. There's a lot of talent that come in the league, but Patrick is blessed to have someone that knows the knowledge of football, not just, I played or I'm a coach or I know what to do when I call plays. He knows football. It's like chess. He knows it. He knows how to win games quickly if he wants. So I was already sold that, no, this guy will win a championship here because of Coach, though. Not just because of Patrick. Nothing against Patrick. He's a talented player. He does exactly what that's needed from that position. But to have a master coach like Andy Reid, it really makes you look bigger than what you are.
Absolutely. Tamba, thank you for just 11 great years here in Kansas City. And we just, hopefully you and the family stay safe, stay healthy through all this, man. And we can't thank you enough. And anytime you have any more musical endeavors, anything, just hit us up and we'd be glad to promote it and talk about it, man. You're the best. We can't thank you enough.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it. I do have a song coming out. It's called Emergency. I'm just singing on the hook. My African people doing a lot of singing. So
I cannot wait, my man. Thank you so much. We'll catch up soon, and stay safe out there, brother.
We'll be on the lookout. It was an honor. Thank you so much.
Thank you.